Yo, it's been too long. I've missed y'all. Sorry to y'all and myself for letting it be this long. I mean, I have been around. You might have seen me give commentating a shot like I've wanted to for a while at Frosty Freezy Fridays and Dutchman's Dungeons on Tuesdays, which has been a lot of fun. Or you may have actually seen or run into me while playing Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl too. But I haven't made a video in months, even though I've wanted to all this time. Life got a bit in the way, some cool stuff like applying to, worrying about, and being accepted into a nice program, and then also some not as cool stuff like finally getting some version of COVID that got around my vaccinations. In this time, I was also so sweetly gifted a PC. Huge shout out to my lovely sister. Thanks to her, render times and other techie things are a billion times better. My old system wouldn't even be able to handle making a video this long. That's also why on screen I'm showing clips from the PC version of Nick Brawl 2. I do still love having a convenient portable Switch version of the game, but the PC version loading quicker and being a bit prettier ain't too shabby either. Apparently there's some new Nintendo system on the way, so maybe Nick Brawl 2 will run a bit better there. Anyway, while some life stuff maybe took some time or adjustments, I think I got in my own way more. I had campaign part 3 recorded, but I didn't talk a lot during gameplay, maybe I was tired, so I scripted a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about that really should be their own videos, and I only ever got partway through it while time kept going, and it's okay. I see I do this sometimes. There have been big gaps in my video releases before, and maybe there's something for me to work on with the fact that I felt like I had to come back with some big chatty video. I couldn't just do smaller things in the meantime. I hope to improve if I can, but if you're hearing this, then I guess I sort of finally pushed past part of whatever's up with me. So, I do want to start from scratch with a big chat. For this video, I'd like to discuss in depth how I feel about Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. The game itself, the gameplay specifically, and its characters. And neat timing too, as we just got some big changes and some nice recent patches. I made most of this video before the patches, but I rewrote, I re-recorded, I adjusted stuff properly, and this video is nice and timely. And while I wish I had been making videos this whole time, an interesting positive is that I feel much more sure of the points I'm about to make. The first draft of this had a lot more worrying on if I just needed to get more used to mechanics or if I was just straight up bad at the game. Now I'm feeling pretty sure I can give y'all a good video. So alright, as usual, everything will be timestamped, jump around as much as you want, here goes. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is a fantastic game. It has easily one of the best single players of any platform fighter, really great music, fun, creative, and faithful movesets for everyone, and the characters have legit never looked better. This is a pretty game. I have never seen a Nickelodeon game before where characters like Mr. Krabs or oh my gosh, Danny Phantom have looked this good. Nick Brawl 1 already did a beautiful job with Zim and Lucy, but they've only gotten better. Zim is adorable, looks like he hopped right out of the show. Dude, El Tigre, they nailed it, hopped right out of the show. And oh, Patrick is utterly adorable here. I have never seen Patrick look this perfect. I love all this so much. Now, I loved the first game, but struggled to recommend it because of its lacking single player. Nick Brawl 2, though. You run along unlocking characters all with their own unique dialogue throughout the story, you get to customize your hub with all sorts of pretty decorations, you get goofy power-ups to choose from. I personally love the projectile homing one. I'm probably showing some clips of that goofy nonsense. So many silly things you can do with it. And you also get cute little profile customization things and sparkly little trophies. I do personally wish the trophies had little descriptions and fun facts, but this all still makes for one of the most assuredly best platform fighter single players available at this time. I'm not sure I need to add too much to the conversation here. Nick Brawl 2 has already been praised and rated highly, partly for this lovely single player, and I can gladly recommend this game even to players that have no interest in ever trying online. But oh my gosh, the online! There have been some things here and there, nothing's perfect, but legit, this is the best netcode I've ever experienced in a platform fighter. We got the crossplay, and it just feels like offline. I have never had any frame rate issues or lag or stuttering, and even if my opponent is dealing with like a bad storm and their internet is struggling, then they seem to report some issues on their side, but it doesn't affect me at all. It only affects the person who's having the struggling internet. Sometimes lobbies can break, sometimes I can get stuck in infinite loading, turn the game off and on, and yeah, it sucks. Nothing's perfect, but the team's looking into it to try to make it even better, and gameplay, like game to game, it's very rare for something to actually go wrong in the game. So I think this is really good online. I love seeing people's target breaking records. There are plenty of fun items to mess around with. My favorite is the snowball launcher. I adore this new rotation mode they threw in one patch where it's 1v1, but with each stock having up to 4 players rotate. That's so cool. We also just got Gauntlet mode, which for anyone familiar with Smash is All-Star mode. You go along with limited health trying to win against every character in the game. There's plenty of wacky stages to enjoy too. I typically love sticking to competitive variants and appreciate so much that we have so many competitive versions of these pretty stages. These types of versions of stages are just more fun for me, but when I find myself on wackier stages, I really love the Wild Thornberry stage and playing with the portals in Clockwork's lair. My buddies and I were like astounded at launch. We couldn't believe those portals were so functional. Not just warping people, but projectiles too. The music in this game is fantastic too, and all the little animations like taunts or more rare to see team win animations. This game is so full of charm, content, passion, love, and I love it back so much too. I really want to sing this game's praises, because while I feel like people generally do accept that this game is good, I feel like it still gets overlooked, and I really want all this hard work and passion properly appreciated. Like, I legit think this is one of the best right now, and while I do see people online enjoying free-for-alls and stuff, and I know people in Discord are making 1v1 private lobbies every day, I really wish this game would get more attention. But I guess that's what I've got to say about the game in general, and now is as good a time as any to move on into the actual gameplay. I think the gameplay is very good. It's very good. But I have a few big hangups. I think some things can legitimately be changed through patches, and some things I don't personally prefer are just here to stay. Up top, I want to praise the slime meter being built into the game design. Amazing how the first game broke new ground in platform fighting with air dashing, air grabbing, projectile grabbing, and more, and now this second game introduces a fun and unique meter unlike any other game in the genre. Slime is an incredible mechanic, so many different things to do with it, opens up so many fun new situations, and I think they nailed the rate at which you get slime too. Just wonderful. I also love how supers are implemented, cause like personally, I don't feel like a big super person, I guess. I remember when Nick Brawl 1 was announced and people immediately started thinking of final slimes, and I was just like, oh, like, yeah, I guess. I didn't really think it was needed. I didn't really care. I just wasn't that interested in that more than any other things, but it's amazing they heard the excitement from fans and delivered. Cause also here, they're not often very optimal, but with the invincibility frames, with needing to get your bar full and then space correctly with this last-ditch effort, and with the fact that opponents can't burst out of super hit stun, I think supers are perfectly balanced to feel like special, rare finishes. Which is perfect, that's exactly what they should be. If they were amazing and we had to watch them all the time, I think I'd be rolling my eyes. So I really like how rare, but legit beneficial they can be. Now, overall, I remember initially people said Nick Brawl 2 felt slower than the first game, and yeah, it is a bit, but the game is generally at a really good speed. And it can get so much faster when you're watching Rage, Squidward, Sugar Rush, Garfield. Oh my god, I can't imagine having to fight Zim if he was any faster. I already don't know what he's doing, but this may be a slower game than Nick Brawl 1, but it is not a slow game. And while I love Marvel vs. Capcom, Pizza Tower, Nick Brawl 1, these extremely fast games where I feel like I can just go shit, I have to be honest, the first game hurt my hands sometimes. And like, in my soul, I don't mind. I want to speed up, it feels worth it, I want to push the limits of what's possible and get wild, ridiculous clips. But my hands hurt. I keep going back and forth, like I still feel some kind of sad longing in my soul, but Nick Brawl 2 does not hurt my hands, and that is probably, definitely, probably, for sure, for the best. I will always treasure the clip videos I was able to put together for the first game, but I am happy to accept Nick Brawl 2 having a less absolutely unhinged speed. But I do still wish at times the game was like 1.2 times faster or something, and I really miss air dashing so much. I'll expand on that later though. I feel like that's a major topic for me, and I want to cover some things I feel a little less passionate about or more confused about first. Okay, let's really get into it now. Here are some weird things about Nick Brawl 1 that made such a huge difference to me. For context, before it, I was mainly playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and personally, I wasn't having a lot of fun. They changed my favorite characters to be worse at rushing in, the outdated online felt bad along with the infamous buffer system, lobbies got weirdly slower and worse, you have to fight characters like Sonic, Rob the Robot, Mr. Game & Watch, or Kirby. I can whine all day, but the point is Smash Ultimate was fresh to me and that's what I was working with to really compare Nick Brawl 1 to. There was that whole stupid Smash killer thing, and I hate that this game was actually hyped up that hard with such unfair pressure, but for me it actually was a Smash Smash killer. I have not played Smash since Nick Brawl came around, and I really hope this isn't coming across as some obnoxious this versus that. Ideally, all these games are good and loved. I know people that play Nick and Smash and Multiverses, and that's great. There's no need to choose one or whatever. I'm still interested in whatever the future of Smash is, and I would love to make a video sometime about my feelings on Ultimate's cast. I've been wanting to get those thoughts organized and out for years, but for now, I absolutely give props. Cool soundtrack, pretty stages. I actually like World of Light too, by the way. Super underrated mode. I still really like the montages I was able to make with the game, and other people that can somehow control the game better than me get really cool clips. Check out The Salt is Real. There are plenty of positives. I'm just trying to set up my perspective, and I really hope moving forward nothing I say sounds too mean. So okay, Nick Brawl 1 has digital controls, which as far as I understand, without going on another ramble, basically there's one movement speed. This instantly meant that when I wanted to move forward and get a grab, I would. When I wanted a jab, I'd get one. In Smash Ultimate, because there's different levels of walking and dash grabs, plus their buffer system, plus their online, there were so many situations where Mega Man or whoever would do some dumb move on my shield, and I would want to go over with a dash grab and punish him. Instead, there'd be a lot of situations where, oops, I grabbed in place, and now I'm in a vulnerable position and I'm getting punished. Or, I want a dash attack to reach someone while they're in end lag, but I would instead get a forward tilt. So many situations where I feel like I had a good read of things, knew the right thing to do, went for it, got some move I didn't expect, and then got hit instead. This felt so bad and happened all the time, but I never had to worry about that in Nick Brawl 1. That game, the control for me felt legit perfect. I got what I wanted, I input a move, and then the move I wanted would actually happen. It was a miracle. When I lost, it felt like my fault. I knew I messed up somewhere. Nothing ever felt like the game's fault, which is truly amazing. Like, dude, in my personal experience, Smash Ultimate made me think my controller was, like, broken or something. Only when I played Nick Brawl and I got all the inputs I wanted could I be sure. I was like, oh, okay, my controller's fine, wow. Now, all that to say and bring us back to the fact that Nick Brawl 2 has analog controls, like Smash, which feels like the higher budget option and lets us have adorable animations like Patrick's slow walk. Legit adorable. Maybe my favorite slow walk of any platform fighter character ever. I love this animation, he's so cute. But it is what it is, and I am finding myself missing a few more grabs. I want a dash grab, and sometimes I get a standing one. I think analog controls just seem a bit more finicky. Thankfully, this sort of stuff happens way less here than in Smash, for example, because of better online, no strange buffer system, and that's part of why I'm mentioning this so early. This is not one of the biggest deals to me. The control, thankfully, is really great, but these sticky feeling misinputs do sometimes happen, and it just doesn't feel perfect to me like the control in Nick Brawl 1 felt. I'm not sure how much of this is a me thing. I commentate tourneys with players that look to move very naturally, but I'm pretty sure I remember other Nick Brawl 1 players similar to me feeling a little less in love with the control. Next up, I don't get why ledge and respawn invincibility were changed at all. I thought they were perfect in the first game. In Nick Brawl 1, when you respawn, you have a certain amount of invincibility. You can reposition yourself all you want, but as soon as you input an attack, you're vulnerable again. That's perfect. That's the perfect system. There's no need to change anything here. In Nick Brawl 2, this is mostly the same, but there's some moves like Gerald charging his baseball or Squidward activating rage, and like, okay, technically they're not throwing out an attack, but they just get to charge this for free? Like, ugh, I thought it was perfect. Come on. Fine, I can live with it. It's not that different, but like, why? Fine, whatever. Okay, but what I dislike more personally is how ledge invincibility has been changed. In Nick Brawl 1, if you were hit and then grabbed a ledge, you'd have some invincibility. If you weren't hit and just grabbed one, you'd still be completely vulnerable. This, I believe, encouraged more offstage attempts to take opponents' resources because otherwise, opponents could often probably make it to ledge with some hitbox securing their return. But edgehogs, which is when one player occupies a ledge so another player can't, were absolutely still possible and fairly common enough after taking opponents' resources or getting into some offstage scuffle. And while I personally never really liked edgehogs that much and still rolled my eyes to see them, they felt pretty fair and as close to perfect as this system can be. Nick Brawl 2, I think, goes a bit further away from perfection. In Nick Brawl 2, you just have ledge invincibility when you touch a ledge. You even have it, like, like, twice. So edgehogging is a lot safer and a lot more common. I still enjoy the game a lot and all, but this is a change I just really don't vibe with. I know characters are probably built with the current system in mind, and edgeguarding characters like Plankton would probably be a lot more annoying if Legend Invincibility was reverted back to how it was in the first game, but man, maybe there's some middle ground adjustment to make this a bit more exciting. Or maybe people love this? Maybe no change necessary? Maybe I'm in the minority here. Do y'all love this? I don't know. Alright, and now I think I can tackle my more major points of contention. So, I understand one of the biggest complaints in Nick Brawl 1 was how you could get hit once and really possibly lose your stock, especially at launch, and the game was patched to make down airs less able to combo into themselves across the board, but some people had already moved on and wouldn't come across news like that. I believe this was a huge point that was heavily considered when developing a sequel, and it has to be a pretty tough balance to strike. Of course you want to make sure characters have fun pressure and cool combos, but that opponents aren't seemingly helpless, constantly waiting their turn to play. So taking countermeasures further, DI, hit stun, gravity, and all sorts of factors are carefully considered. I'm no game designer, but I think Nick Brawl 2 already having generally slower moves and mobility could have potentially been enough to avoid consistent zero-to-death interactions. But clearly, dodges and slime burst are also responses to this complaint. When I played Nick Brawl 1, I loved air dashing so much, to rush back into a fight, to recover, to open new combo routes, to chase down opponents. I really wanted Smash and every other platform fighter to follow that lead. I was telling everyone I knew 100 times out of 100, a million times out of a million, I would take air dashes over air dodges, absolutely. When we first saw the Nick Brawl 2 gameplay showcase, my reaction is still up, you can check if you want. I was truly disappointed to see air dashes replaced with air dodging. While the air dodging in Nick Brawl 2 is actually useful for recovery and can actually be used to wave dash, it is still a pure downgrade to me, I'm sorry. Along with air dodging, there's also dodges on the ground now too, rolling and spot dodging, which is when you dodge in place for anyone that may not know. I loved so much in the first game that this just wasn't there, that this wasn't a thing, that people couldn't do this. I was very used to fighting online opponents in the Smash series that seemed very reliant on this mechanic. If you're watching this video, odds are you've seen people with this habit, right? Maybe you even have it, which is fine. Multiverses is open again, and there's plenty of dodging going on there. This habit is absolutely rampant, and maybe even kind of encouraged there. It's pretty much the same in all these games. Someone misses an attack, and they dodge, and they miss another attack, and they dodge, PK fire, dodge, shaggy kick, dodge, and if they're really scared, they might just start dodging a bunch in a row. And while some games try to make subsequent dodges slower or less invincible, it's still easy to find people who seem to build a dependence on this classic strategy. Reading a roll can make a potential cool moment even cooler, showing how smart you are predicting your opponent. But a lot of times, rolling also helps create some dumb-looking, annoying chases, and I've just never really liked it very much. And I also felt like if you really want to dodge an attack, then of course you can, with some good timing and good movement, which Nick Brawl 1 encouraged by not having rolling at all. No invincibility frames needed, just a bit of solid skill. I can keep living with this though, if it really helps people feel that much more comfortable and attracts more of an audience, which is why I believe this was implemented, then sure, I get it. Anyone very reliant on rolling probably isn't going to beat many people with legitimately more skill just because of it anyway, I guess. It's the air dashing being gone that really bums me out. Yeah, you can still read air dodges, yippee, but the mobility, the combo routes, the rush. Can we compromise and have rolling on the ground but dashes in the air or something? I really feel like we took steps back here. There is slime dashing, which is nice and fun. I do really like trying to use this in sequences. It allows for more creativity, opens up wacky possibilities, but while it is a great option, it's just not the same. It's not satisfying the same craving for me. It is great. It's really great, but it's not air dashing. If it is air dashing, then it's air dashing on a pretty tight leash. And I don't know, leash? That's not air dashing. I do still hope in the future that more platform fighters implement air dashing over air dodging. I think it was just so much better. Now, another response to how explosive the first game could be is slime burst. You might remember this as the other thing in the gameplay showcase that I wasn't super super thrilled to see initially. For anyone that might need a brief refresher, for the cost of 2 bars of slime, Slime Burst is a mechanic where you can decide, I don't want to be hit anymore right now. Well, it's been about half a year or something. I think I've given myself enough time to just get used to it. I feel pretty sure of my feelings, and you know what? I just don't like Slime Burst. I do like the animations, and legit, this can add to certain moments. It is fun to hit someone, know the burst is coming, and hit him again. And it costs 2 bars, which feels like a pretty fair commitment. But I feel like I have had clips ruined by this, and I feel like I've had annoying moments where I chase down someone that's been rolling and running away, and I finally tap them with like a jab, and they immediately burst, rejecting any possible hit stun. And I roll my eyes and get back to the chase. And commentating tournaments, I can't help but think of how much more exciting moments would be if burst just wasn't an option. Like in some situations where it looks like it should be last hit wins, anyone can take it, there can be tension, but then we know, oh, this player has burst if needed, so we know next hit's not gonna be it. And sometimes in those situations, some people just forget to burst and lose, and what could have been an exciting moment turns into a confused, oh, why didn't they burst? What happened? Did they forget? Did they think they wouldn't die and they tried to save it? When instead of all that, we could just be cheering right now. You can burst immediately on getting hit, or wait till you're some distance away and then burst. It's an optimal option. Players should be using burst. It's good. But if we didn't have it, maybe we'd see some more interesting escapes more often, like using Slime Dash to escape from follow-ups, or rushing in more to reach someone while they're still in startup. I guess I've given enough justification for why this might not be my favorite mechanic. It's really not so bad, and it does legit add to moments sometimes. I can live with this, but I guess if I'm being fully honest with myself, yeah, no, I guess I'd really rather not. But that's just me. I never like these burst mechanics in fighting games, but I know some people that do, and I wonder how many people actually don't feel me here and really love Slime Burst. And the last major thing to me is that there isn't a quick, reliable, universal mechanic around reflecting projectiles anymore. Yeah, you can still reflect projectiles in Nick Brawl 2 with strong attacks, just like Nick Brawl 1, but it is simply just so much less effective. Nick Brawl 1 had a lot of straight up simple strong attacks. There were some more creative than others, but generally these moves kept it pretty simple. Time and budget are likely part of why, but the fact of the matter is that most of these moves are quick and snappy, which is great for reflecting projectiles. Now in Nick Brawl 2, is anyone really gonna feel safe trying to reflect something like Danny Phantom's Plasma Bolt with something like Ember's guitar? Like, that's laughable, that's a joke, that's such a bad idea. And while this is a valid point, sure, maybe I picked an extreme example. Ember is pretty sluggish. There are absolutely snappy strongs in the game like Squidward's pizza, but even then it's not worth reflecting projectiles because of some stronger points. So also in the first game, projectiles reflected like this would get faster and stronger. This ensured that if SpongeBob's sitting there blowing a bunch of bubbles, that the reflected bubble would go through all the other ones, break in a wall of projectiles, and maybe even reach the opponent in time, punishing them directly. In Nick Brawl 2, reflected projectiles do not speed or power up, so using the same bubble example, the reflected bubble would just trade with the next bubble, and then there's still a bunch of bubbles on the way. Yet another reason why reflecting projectiles feels weaker and not worth it in this game is that, like, reflecting a projectile doesn't seem to refresh its, like, distance traveled. Like, if you reflect Jimmy's toast, it doesn't really go anywhere. So that sucks, and reflecting projectiles generally doesn't feel like as much of an option as it used to. In Nick Brawl 1, you could also grab projectiles, and this was so cool, this was so fun, and I think it could work in Nick Brawl 2. We have, like, different mechanics for grabbing people and grabbing items, but I doubt this is gonna get patched in, and that's okay. There is definitely still use to reflecting projectiles in Nick Brawl 2, but it is just so much more situational and awkward, and not having natural, snappy, universal counterplay to projectiles is a pretty huge change to me that I just don't prefer. I think reflecting projectiles as a universal game mechanic right now feels like a real afterthought, and I think it can absolutely be patched to be more effective by at least adding some more distance and, well, effect. I don't know why, but in some of these clips, the projectiles are just losing their hitboxes sometimes. I think it could be great to see this universal mechanic really be part of the game again, and it's okay that some charge attacks will just be worse at reflecting than others. Maybe some won't reflect at all, that's fine. But some really seem like they should. What's up with Mr. Krabs? Am I doing something wrong? Like, he can't reflect stuff. Anyway, to end this section, while I don't see Slime Burst going anywhere and I don't see air dashes coming back exactly, I could potentially see slime dashes cost maybe half a bar instead of a full bar far, encouraging them more as a bit of a better pseudo-replacement, and projectile reflections as a universal mechanic can for sure be patched to be a lot better, which I think would be really, really cool. Okay, I really hope I wasn't too negative talking about those points of contention. I really hope I come across more constructive than obnoxious. And I also don't want to come across as delusional, wearing rose-tinted glasses saying Nick Brawl 1 was perfect. I love it so very much, but even gameplay-wise, some of us will remember that at high percents, if you're trying to win, there was no reason not to just forward throw someone and get an easy follow-up if they DI in. Tournaments were so hype, but yeah, I mean, it was optimal, so you would see this a lot there, and it did get pretty repetitive. And I had some fun with the RPS mechanic. I think I got some cool clips with it, but personally, I didn't love it at the time, and I don't miss it at all either. Nick Brawl 2 may have handled other people's problems with the first game in ways I don't personally prefer, but I didn't love everything about the first game, and I think Nick Brawl 2 handled some of those things well. Along with introducing fun new stuff, like being able to charge moves, which I really wanted, and in practice feels fantastic, and ultimates, slime cancels, forward and back airs, while maintaining great stuff like teching, parrying, and teetering. I absolutely adore all these parts of the gameplay. I'm really worried to come off as like, oh, Nick Brawl 1 is better, put it back. Like, I do not want that to be the takeaway. Dude, I always wanted to be able to hold and charge strong aerials in Nick Brawl 1. It's so good to have it in 2. Both games are great and have stuff I prefer and don't prefer. So I guess it's natural to keep imagining how to mix both. I find myself constantly getting into discussions with other Nick Brawl players where we speculate on how old mechanics we love could still work in this new game. Like, what if we had air grabbing, but it was just quick tosses back and forth, like Superman's air up special in Multiverses? Could that work? Maybe you could hold opponents and fall a bit with them, but they could still mash out like with grounded grabs. Ooh, that'd be so sick, with cancels that maintain momentum? Well, I think it would be really cool. I think if I could change one thing, it would be to have air dashing back over air dodging, and then maybe slime dashing could let you fly farther, like 3/4 across a stage. But maybe everyone would hate that. I mean, yeah, I guess everyone would just save slime to recover 3/4 across this. Whatever, I just want air dashing back. I didn't think the slime dashing thing through. I've talked at length about certain gameplay changes and how I believe they were made for the sake of making the large demographic of players already familiar with Super Smash Bros. More comfortable. But I keep wondering if the gargantuan improvement to single player, seriously, going from pretty much no single player to absolutely one of the best single players in the genre, along with the impressive improvements to models and animations, and the crossplay, and the best online I've ever experienced in the genre, and various fun and unique modes, and pretty stages, and silly items, all these amazing things and more outside of gameplay. I wonder if maybe all this, on its own, would have been enough for this large demographic to not really need Rolling or Slime Burst. I really don't know. I'm so interested to hear from y'all. I would love to get y'all's perspectives, but yeah, maybe my foundation for this thought isn't even correct, and I guess it's impossible to make everyone happy anyway. I have no doubt this is all a really tough balancing act. I just don't know. What I do know and what I can offer are my own feelings. Bottom line, underlined, I guess my grand flowery conclusion is basically just that Nick Brawl 2 is wonderful, charging air strongs is awesome, and I'm really glad my hands don't hurt. But I also wish reflecting projectiles with charge attacks was as good as it was in the first game, and I want air dashing back. I just straight up love air dashing so much. And if possible, air grabbing was so cool. I would love air grabbing to be back too. So yeah, I think that's it. For me, I think that's really what my feelings boil down to, yeah. Luckily, even though I do really hope for these future changes, this game as it is still really great with cool clips happening all the time. This is still easily one of the best platform fighters I've ever played. As for anything else I don't know how to organize coherently before getting into character-specific chats, 1, I want to highlight the cool detail that platforms react to when they're being jumped on. That's just a cool detail. Good work on that. 2, I won't beg for it in full for like a 3rd time, but while I truly appreciate the cool special dialogue we have in this game, I do really wish, along with even the developers of the game, that the characters on the roster were legally allowed to talk with each other more, which is up to Nickelodeon themselves. 3, I have a huge preference for the version of Jellyfish Fields that we saw in Raphael's Spotlight. I find the shades of green more vibrant here, I missed King and Queen Jellyfish. I would love to see this as like a variant, or however possible, as long as it's not too much trouble. And 4, I absolutely love all the stage variants. That work is so greatly appreciated, and if it isn't too much trouble, I do really hope Chum Bucket, Beaver Dam, Western Air Temple, Reptar Ruins, and Loud Castle get some variants. I adore all those areas very much, but they're kind of tough to play on in the slightly more competitive way I like to play. Oh, and lastly, number 5, a replay system would be nice. We can see in the files a replay system was intended for launch, but sometimes things don't work out. If in a future patch they happen to work out, cool. If not, oh well, it was worth mentioning again. In any case, this really is a fantastic game, and I can go on praising the stage variants, the slime meter, the character designs. In fact, I will. For pretty much the next hour, I'd like to gush about each and every character in the game. How they work, how faithful their movesets are, fun details, possible hopes for future changes, stuff like that. I'll try to make some points that are hopefully convincing so that maybe someday I somehow influence enough to get what I want, but it's also okay if more people happen to like something more than I do and prefer it a certain way. We're probably not gonna agree on everything, but maybe I can convince y'all of some stuff or put into words what you've been feeling, and maybe some of y'all can do that for me too. However this goes, hopefully my perspectives are at least a little entertaining. With all that established, let's go for it, starting with SpongeBob. SpongeBob is fun. Anyone can pick up and play this goofball and have a nice time. I think the team did a great job making him an all-arounder that's friendly to learn the game with. He's got a good mix of recovery and approach tools, a fun projectile to play with, and his enhanced bubbles have to be one of my favorite slime enhancements in the whole game. Very fun to play with. And all this while also being so faithful to the source material. He's got his absorption, he's got his driving, he's got his fry cooking, karate bubbles, and other adorable details like his I'm ready run. And he's so much more expressive, which I really appreciate. His little laugh has to be one of my favorite taunts in the game. I particularly love his jab, hurting you by literally clapping for you and giving you thumbs up. He's being supportive, just like how he'd annoy people in the show by being so overzealous, killing with kindness. And to add to his oblivious non-stop personality, you even see that SpongeBob doesn't know when to stop through his nice frame data sometimes. I've seen a lot of situations where SpongeBob's will land on my shield with an aerial, and then instead of getting shield grabbed by me, we'll throw out a quick forward tilt, and it'll work. Playing as SpongeBob, doing this feels fun, and fighting against SpongeBob, this can feel a little annoying, maybe a little obnoxious. With his stubby range, SpongeBob really wants to get close to people, and in some situations where I want to punish him, it really is better to just get some distance, which again, feels like a perfect translation from how he is in the show. I had a lot of fun with SpongeBob in the first game too, but with the moves, the expressions, and the clever gameplay design, SpongeBob feels a lot more SpongeBob-y here. If anything, I think his down special's lacking. I like this more than the Chomp from the first game, but I think I'd still prefer something wackier. I rarely see anyone use this, and I don't ever feel like using it either. It's just like, why would I use this? It pops people up. Okay, so does SpongeBob's up tilt and down tilt, those moves are great. I guess you can use this in the air, and it reflects projectiles too. That's nice, but yeah, I just never really use it, and I don't see anyone else use it either. It is cute though, and I think a lot of us imagine that SpongeBob could flip opponents with a spatula, but that just would be his up tilt, while his down special could be something wackier, yeah. Patrick. I think Patrick is phenomenal. He's adorable with all his expressions. I love his crouch. He has probably my favorite slow walk in the game, and his gameplay design is really thoughtful and interesting too. The table flip is so prevalent. He gets so much mileage out of that fun, unique move. Sometimes it seems like Patrick does so much damage, and maybe his dash attack lasts a little too long, and maybe it's really scary to challenge his already pretty long up special when there's a good chance you'll end up getting grabbed by it. And yet, people do tend to rank Patrick as one of the weaker characters. He is pretty comboable, and there was this one Patrick whose recovery I just kept using Squidward's marble block against, and yeah, that looked like a pretty hopeless situation. I think Patrick is in a really good spot, and it feels in character too that he has some of these moves that hit all around. I caught myself thinking once while frustrated fighting a Patrick online, like, ugh, you're just swinging the lariat and the jab, hitting on all sides, you're not even thinking about where I'm gonna land, you just know I'm gonna be around somewhere, and you're thoughtlessly swinging around. Oh, but Patrick being thoughtless is a little bit in character. That's cute. And his counter too. I've had matches where the opponent Patrick really started spamming the counter, hoping to interrupt any hit I had, and I knew it was coming and would just get easy grabs, and it felt really cute to outsmart poor little Patrick like that. I've had some matches where I found Patrick a little frustrating, but I always come back to overall really loving him. I think he turned out so good in this game. Squidward! Squidward is fucked up. He's incredible. Just like in the show, he wants to be alone alone, and I really like how that was interpreted. He does appreciate getting the opponent away, getting a moment alone, using those moments to get mad, which then encourages the Squidward player to go in and do something dynamic with their limited time buff. And it's not a pure buff either. I mean, it's amazing. You hit harder, you do more damage, you're faster, but Squidward also falls faster, making recovery more strict. So again, just like the show, he can do a lot of damage, but he might get in trouble after all. Especially if the Squidward player tries to activate Rage in an unsafe way. The opponent can close the distance and get a big punish, which can also be extra dangerous as Squidwards tend to put themselves closer to blast zones when activating Rage. I think this is really clever design, faithful to the source material. It's just, beautiful, love it, chef's kiss. I have seen Squidward get big punished this way in tournament, but I have also seen Squidward players just sort of fast fall while activating Rage, which makes punishing him much more inconsistent, and just seems really strong, like, I think a bit too much so, and I wouldn't be surprised if in a future patch, Squidward isn't able to fast fall during his Rage activation anymore. Other than that, he has all sorts of fun, unique moves that show off his artistry and natural talent. The different levels of notes based on how long you charge are great. He has a solid spike and a quick drop down air too. Love the pizza box slam, and his little up tilt is amazing too. Squidward is such a fun and also legit super strong character. As for any possible changes, I could see more paintings implemented, like maybe one that slows the opponent down, or maybe one that sends the opponent backwards. I could also imagine a slime enhancement where Squidward could play his clarinet more, shooting out smaller, weaker, but more notes, which could be customized by letting players make little songs if they want to. Kind of like Link's Ocarina in Project M, or Big Band's Trumpet in Skullgirls. And I can also imagine his Rage maybe getting a bit riskier to activate. However Squidward might change, I would hope that he'd still have cool combos, silly movement tech with his bike, and still be so much fun. Plankton! Plankton's really different. I really did not click with him at first. You can really feel the weight of the mech. It really felt uncomfortable to move, and I really just did not get how to fly this thing. One example for how Plankton likes to do things a little differently is that if I'm in shield and the opponent's coming at me with an aerial attack, typically most characters, I'm gonna want to block that and get a shield grab after. Not with Plankton though. That grab, it's too slow, the opponent's gonna hit you first. But it's not a bad grab. It is the longest reaching grab in the game. Down throw combos well, forward throw gives a burn status. This is just not the time to use it. Instead, opportunities like this are probably a good time for Plankton to land a big, beefy side special command grab. Little things like these took some getting used to, but I think I got it relatively quick, and now Plankton is another very fun character. Now to be faithful to Plankton, they gave him some villainous things, like if you get command grabbed off stage, sorry, you're just gone. And back throw. Planktons will like to get close to the ledge and then fish for back throw because it will send opponents straight down, which will never kill on its own, even at 200%. It's just really good at freaking people out. He's got his nice sauce debuff, and he can really control space with his downcharge projectile, suggesting opponents stay off the ground, but then he also has these anti-airs like his chum buckets or up tilt where he literally yells stop jumping. I also still really love the details like Plankton hanging off the mech's antenna in certain animations. I like the clever design choices like having this mech be more emotive than it was in the movie it originates from because Plankton is too small for us to be able to see his expressions usually. I do kinda still wish there was some move where Plankton could run around as his little self. Like, I don't know, maybe if the mech gets shield broken, Plankton can get out and try to fight on his own, but he's really weak. I totally get that a target that small could be really annoying for everybody, but I still think it could be really cute and funny too. I do really love this victory animation where Plankton gets out on his own while his cool mech sparkles, and this is such a fundamentally tricky character to get working in a fighting game in the first place, so I do think the team did a really good job. Gameplay-wise, it's fascinating to see how faithful this character is. He has those evil moves mentioned already, he has ways to debuff opponents, and he also has more tools than the average character to recover back to the stage. Which reminds me, despite his weaknesses, emphasized also in this game by his big size, end lag, and combo ability making him take constant punishment, that Plankton never stops trying. Despite his failures, his large weight will let him try again and again, even if he has to do it the next day, or the next day. He'll put lots of effort in to make it back to the stage after the next edge guard, or the next edge guard, and he can switch up how he tries with all sorts of different devious plans. Plankton, we have heard, went through lots of changes as the game was being developed, and as patches go on, the team wants to, and I think has done a pretty good job, at making sure characters are as fun to play, fight, and watch as they can be. I remember there was concern about Plankton's down tilt being sped up around the Krabs patch, and it does feel super strong when it's squeezed into combos and leads into more side special grabs, but his down tilt before was pretty much completely useless, and he should get to have a down tilt, so... Plankton's been buffed some more recently, and again I'm hearing people worry, but I haven't seen him ruin any tournaments yet. Though some of these changes I'm like, okay, I don't think Plankton needed that. We'll see. However Plankton continues to change, I think I like what the team's done so far. I gotta give it up for silly evil moves and a design surprisingly faithful to a character so fundamentally tricky to get to work in the first place. Good stuff. El Tigre! Along with Squidward and Plankton, Manny is another amazing newcomer a bunch of us rushed to imagine when the series was first announced. I was a bit worried about his chances since the original show only ran for one season, but thank goodness Nickelodeon wasn't too weird about it and that the team was so passionate and got to do incredible work. The art style is perfectly translated, and naturally he's a fun, fast little combo guy like we expected. There was a while there where after a roster-wide recovery rework, I felt so bad for El Tigre. His ledge grab range after his up special was pathetic. He'd get right up to a ledge and then fall with his adorable helpless animation. It was always tragic. That, mixed with his other big weakness, his weight, being tied for lightest in the game, really made me underestimate the character for a while, despite the fact that, yeah, sure, he still had good combos and stuff. Luckily, this recovery issue was addressed recently. Now when El Tigre does his up special, there's a little altitude boost as he goes into his helpless animation. This was my biggest concern for a while there, so mission accomplished, problem solved well. Now I'm back to thinking for what he is, he's a healthy, solid character. Now my feelings are refocused solely on a more conceptual choice I've disagreed with since we've seen El Tigre in action. I do think he's great and all, fantastic work all around, but I still want his chain arms to go across the entire stage doing stupid, cool grabs. In part 2 of my big potential future content for Nick Brawl discussion videos, I was so hyped about the idea of El Tigre, mainly because of the wacky stuff he could do with his chain arms. I was imagining that he could play kind of like Spencer from Marvel vs. Capcom, grabbing people from across the stage, kicking people into a blast zone, and then grabbing them from even there, pulling them back like, I got more combos, I ain't done yet, or grabbing parts of the stage itself to zoom around, building momentum for cool tricks. This isn't stuff I've seen much of in a platform fighter before. I guess now I've seen Batman use his grappling hook in Multiverses, which is like, it's fine. It's okay. It's definitely more limited than the Spencer-type stuff I was imagining, but not as limited as El Tigre's chain arm seems to me currently. At least Batman can latch onto the stage, too. I was almost sure pre-release that at least slime-enhancing El Tigre's chain arm would boost the distance a bit, but still no, and like, damn, dude, is it really that scary? Maybe I'm an idiot and I'm just not realizing how broken and annoying this would be, because right now, I'm imagining it would be fun for both players by also giving opponents more openings to punish. That being another weakness might balance with a potential new strength that I feel like El Tigre could absolutely use his side special chain arms to tether to ledges. Or better yet in my opinion, because more unique and also so he can build momentum on stage, use his chain arms to latch onto structures and stages directly, like tether recoveries and Smash Melee. It makes so much sense in my brain. I'm imagining chain arm as yes, side special, and yes, able to be angled exactly as it can be now, but the more you hold the button, the more it goes, and as soon as you let go, it starts coming back. This is a commitment. He's open for attacks as he does this. He can't just cancel this immediately, and he can't like curve it. It just goes straight ahead like it does now. He maintains momentum like he does currently, not freezing in the air, and when you latch onto someone, you can then hit light to go to them, strong to bring them to you, or special to meet in the middle. This shouldn't be too broken or annoying, I think, and could open up so many cool possibilities reminiscent of the source material. I really hope I don't sound too obnoxious, because a character in a game didn't turn out exactly as I had hoped. I think I really do still appreciate the character for what he is and how he turned out. Fantastic art style, fantastic charm, it's just when I see that limited chain arm, he looks so held back. I'm sorry. This is great, but someday, I really want to see more. I want to see what El Tigre can really do. Rocko! Rocko's got a pretty cute design. He's a polite and timid little creature, so this shy pacifist fights partly by throwing out some other stuff that helped do his fighting for him. A Rocko player could absolutely avoid fighting a bit by hiding around their jackhammer or dog. I've seen that online, but they won't protect Rocko forever. Luckily, he has some nice little combos too. I like messing around with all his tools, doing my best to put them all together. And I guess he has some clear weaknesses even though it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but you poke the dog or jack jackhammer and they go away. His recovery is pretty linear. That pogo stick though, wow, that thing kills good and doesn't even seem too committal. Like on paper there's startup and you're committing to a long time of rising and falling, but there's not a lot of end lag when it lands, which makes it feel like the time to punish this is as he's coming down. But Rocko can angle this move, which, along with the meaty hitboxes on this, adds to how already really hard this feels to challenge. I've fought some Rockos online, and no offense or whatever to whoever my opponents on screen might be, I'm not sure what footage I'm gonna put while editing, GG's and all, but yeah, anyway, totally unrelated, but I fought some Rockos online that would like to get me to kill percent and then would feel comfy spamming the pogo stick. They'd do it, miss, do it again, cause why not? It's a good move. Luckily, if you as Rocko's opponent use your multiple resources to land on stage well enough once, Rocko's pogo stick is a lot less threatening against people on the ground, so it isn't some insta-win move. Still an incredible move though, definitely. Oh right, and speaking of good moves, I think Rocko straight up has like the fastest up tilt where his brain pops out. That thing is lightning quick. Oh, and he's got his little down tilt sweep too. That on ledge is amazing. I've seen some people get around it. It's not an auto win either, but I have seen plenty of people get hit by it and then be in enough hit stun to actually get like freely comboed into a devastating pogo kill. And dude, his yell, his grounded neutral charge, the yell, is so strong on its own and has this unique wind box too, which I'm pretty sure just one time completely destroyed my recovery attempt as Korra. And on top of all of that, by the way, his jumping and slime burst sound effects are really cute and funny. Oh, and I almost forgot, but I love that you can summon your dog Spunky and then use your regular grab where you turn everyone into a basketball on your dog, and then you can ball with your dog with any of your throws to send a funny hitbox at your opponent. That's so weird and fun. Overall, Rocko is a weird, cute, and like surprisingly strong little creature. I wouldn't be super surprised if he was toned down a bit in the future, especially since I think most people don't love having to fight him as he is now. Jimmy! Oh, leapin' leptons over here. Jimmy looked like a really fun and unique character when he was first showcased, and yeah, in practice he is legit really cool and unique, super fun. It's so cool seeing players protect Jimmy's vulnerable recovery by switching to Goddard during it and shooting lasers as backup. And it's so great to see Jimmy and Goddard legit ping-pong opponents off each other. It might be weird to try it first, but you really do get better and better, and now there's top players that make it look like second nature. And even if you're like me, where you're not as good as the top players, it's still really fun to do your best playing as both Jimmy and Goddard, and you still get some cool stuff to happen. Oh, and it's a pretty funny memory now that along with all this cool unique stuff, Jimmy's side special wind move used to be so silly at launch. You might be seeing my slightly lower quality Switch version footage on screen right now, but you could use the wind to push people as they sat in shield, and it could activate their teeter animation at the ledge and keep pushing them while they couldn't do anything. It was funny, and as Jimmy's opponent, you could literally just jab the wind and it would go away, but it does feel natural that you should be able to shield it too, so lots of players did just sit and shield against it and then got blown away. This move got patched, which completely makes sense, but now isn't really used much at all anymore. I really like still using this sometimes. It's still funny, just not as goofy as it was. Now shields and hitting the wind do just get rid of it. Maybe there's a middle ground where it could still push people shielding and cause teeters, but then not continue to push people off stage, which could lead to setting up a missile and converting from across the screen. But I don't know, Jimmy seems strong enough as he is now. I guess I just want to see people use this wind more, cause I think it does lead to cool moments, but maybe that'll just happen naturally with time. Anyway, it has been so cool to see Jimmy players evolve. I play Jimmy a bit here and there, which has been really fun, but seeing Jimmy mains develop stronger and stronger setups into this deadly metal fist, which very fairly got nerfed recently, and so seamlessly switching between Jimmy and Goddard like it's second nature, wow. Now, while Jimmy does legitimately cool stuff a lot of the time, it does sometimes look exhausting and frustrating watching people have to chase Jimmy around, especially when he's fading back a lot. Jimmy has the highest double jump, which is great for keeping up chases, being aggressive, but also great for flying away. He also has this incredible disjointed anti-air up tilt, which starts combos, so jumping in on Jimmy feels pretty risky. But I know I at least have tried to run up and grab him head on, only to be overwhelmed by his nice jab and beefy disjointed F-tilt that are great get-off-me tools. Those are some great tools that Jimmy can use defensively, and I don't think they're unwarranted. I think what might be unwarranted, I think the most frustrating thing about Jimmy is that he survives for too long. Way too often we have and are still seeing Jimmy live to about 160. And like, Why? He apparently weighs the same as Spongebob. Well, thanks to Lottum for digging into the files and finding that Jimmy has more hit stun fall speed, a value of that much closer to Plankton's. If I'm understanding this correctly, this means that Jimmy falls harder than most other characters when he's hit, which totally explains moments in the top blast zone that left me wondering how Jimmy didn't die. Meta-relevant characters like Korra that kill often with her charge neutral air sending Jimmy to the side typically get things done against him much faster than some others. I find this all really fascinating, but yeah, my biggest hope for Jimmy changes in the future is that this hit stun fall speed value is adjusted to be closer to Spongebob's, cause Jimmy is just living too long, too often. He is just too durable right now. Overall, even though I do really want that change, Jimmy is still a truly phenomenal character. I love the creative nonsense he pulls off, gold star stuff, great work, great character. Lucy! I really like what they did with Lucy. She has so many cool moves using occult stuff, a crystal ball, Edwin, bat wings. She has so much going for her, and oddly enough, something isn't clicking in my brain. When I watch her gameplay, for some reason it oddly doesn't look like anything to me. Like, she's just kind of flying and spinning around, and it's not really reading to me that, like, something's not processing that she's doing all these unique things. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I watch her and it just kind of doesn't look or feel like anything, really. She's got her scythe and her coffin, and those make sense, but usually she's like floating up and doing a spin or slapping with her card. And I guess that's what I'm talking about. Sorry if I'm not explaining this right. I guess I'm still confused. I have no idea if anyone else feels the same way I do about this. It's just so odd, because I think the team did a great job. These moves look really neat, and I love all that's going on here, especially all the fun details like how she hangs from the ledge like a bat, or all her fun animations for getting around, whether she's begrudgingly walking or fully flying. Oh, and I love her team win animation too, referencing when, as a team, the family finally outpranked Luann. Oh wow, I wrote this in my script. But in action, maybe I'm still just getting used to what Lucy does. So that's how I felt a few months ago, and that is still how I feel half a year after the game is launched. Maybe I do just need more time? I guess I have been avoiding her. I only ever really play her if I get her in random, which, oh my gosh, I think she's my worst character. I do not know how to fly this thing. But I should have more of a sense of how to. I've beaten arcade mode with her, I've beaten campaign mode multiple times. I don't know why I'm so incompatible with this. Sure, she's got all these extra dash attacks and special moves thanks to her cool mode switching, but other people get it, it's not that hard. Fighting her? I'm still unsure a lot of the time when her combo or even her recovery attempt is done. She does something, and then she teleports, and then oh, I guess she saved her jump. I thought she jumped already, but how am I not used to this already? I guess I don't fight that many Lucys either. I really love her shovel bounce, that's super cool, and her enhanced vampire up special spikes, that's amazing. I really think I like all this conceptually, I just don't know why I feel so lost in practice. The Angry Beavers! Oh my gosh, the Beavers, oh my goodness, another phenomenal gold star character. These Beavers are doing unique, wacky stuff I've never seen in a platform fighter before, and they're doing it real well. Great pressure, great tricks, great teamwork. Doing versus Capcom style assists for stage pressure and starting or continuing combos is so neat, and surprising opponents and audiences alike by suddenly swapping between Beavers even in the middle of assists is so cool. I love comboing with these guys. I love swinging Dag's mallet as much as possible, and Norb's down throw at ledge actually sending people down is like, I don't know, it feels pretty ridiculous. Well it did, but this has also been patched recently to send basically in the complete opposite direction now, which actually sets up new combos. The ult throw was very funny, but personally I did feel like a villain every time I did it, so I guess this is a very fair change. Fighting the Beavers is scary. Dag can just throw out his Rapid Jab, which, by the way, they named Slap City because Ludosity, it's really cute, it's great. But yeah, Dag can just throw out his Rapid Jab and then call Norb as an assist during it, making it, like, completely safe. Dag's Tornado Recovery also feels, like, impossible to challenge with its strong hitbox, it's fast, you can angle it wherever. It probably shouldn't snap to ledge. And Norb has such simple, solid moves that just kill. I've seen some top players get their opponents to kill percent and then just switch to Norb and throw around some kill moves, and sometimes that just works. So fun, so unique, I really love how these silly Beavers were designed. The way people often point to Smash's Pokemon Trainer as a quick explanation when imagining new character concepts, like how Powerpuff Girls could work in multiverses or something, I think it's cool we might start to hear people pointing to the Angry Beavers as an example of how their favorite characters could work, inspiring more movesets and fun new ideas. I have to imagine this great idea simply probably wouldn't have been possible in earlier games on older systems, but now that stuff can load faster, I wonder what'll be possible on even newer systems. Anyway, these beavers are phenomenal. Another gold star, so fun, and seriously one of the coolest platform fighter designs I think I've ever seen. Garfield! Garfield's fun. He's got a whole new playstyle, encouraged to rush in a lot more. And I love rushing in, I love trying to combo. Sometimes with Garfield, I feel a bit restrained by having to go for food attacks because that's how you get your popcorn, which is how you build your sugar rush meter. And sugar rush is really fun, but other characters like Mr. Krabs or Ember build their meters by doing like anything. No specific moves are required. And fighting Garfield, it feels so natural to see this floating popcorn and think that you can do something about it. Like you can pick up Mr. Krabs' money and keep him from getting it. But nah, the opponent can't directly do anything with this popcorn. I really like that there's a hitbox on the way up for Garfield's up special now, but I miss how it would spike you on the way down in Nick Brawl 1. I also miss the different effects on his pies in the first game. Yeah, these ones have different effects too, but the effects are so minimal, I like don't notice ever. And Pookie, his teddy bear, was such a fun move to play with in the first game, but that mechanic of a projectile you leave sitting somewhere and then call back to you is entirely gone now. I understand that that might not mesh with his playstyle now, having a rushdown character zoom across the stage while also having a stage control tool rush to him from across the stage. But I do hope some other character in the future has a move that functions like Pookie from NASB 1, cause that was really fun to play with. As he is now though, Garfield's a perfectly lovely little creature with lots of wacky pressure. But it would be cool if his pies had wackier effects. Aang! I do miss trying to spike people with his up special and his silly avatar state move from the first game, but Aang has greatly improved variety here, bringing elements to all of his moves. Aang has always been incredibly effective as a fighter, and I think until recently he was probably always the best character in the game in terms of tournament viability. Chaining together multiple splashy water orb up charges, getting out of combos and starting new ones with his light up air, and the base knockback of his up special, it's brutal stuff. Eye-opening to remember at launch he used to be able to air dodge out of his up special, and he could also use his airball down special multiple times per airtime. Oh, and his neutral charge was straight up spammable. You could quickly throw this around, even hit people from behind, which didn't seem to hit people any less hard. Oh my gosh, all this and he has that extra jump, which is cool because he's like an airbender, I get it, but this makes landings even easier and moves chain together that much more. Well, now it's just one airball per airtime, no air dodging out of that already amazing up special, the water ball had its size reduced, and the neutral charge has to actually be like given some thought now. Plenty of very fair changes that make Aang much more reasonable. Besides a big phew that Aang ain't such a terror anymore, I don't know. He's okay, I guess. Guess that's how I feel about him in his show, too. Like, you know, seems like a nice kid. Whatever. I think he could be saucier in this game. He could have some more sauce. He's already got a bit, and maybe we'll see his charge down air more now that other options have been adjusted. But it does feel like something could change with his side special. I don't see too many people bother with it, and yeah, I don't see a reason to bother with it very much. He has better combo enders. In the future, I think I'd rather see this replaced with an entirely different and more special feeling move. Maybe some rework of his goofy staff spin, or funny avatar state from the first game. I had a lot of fun with that. Or some funny wind. I still find it so surprising they gave Korra funny wind to play with, which is great. I love Korra, I love her wind. This is very fun, but nothing for Aang when he's such a goofy, playful, wind-loving little guy? Come on. So yeah, I do hope for some changes just for fun, but I'm really glad that Aang's much more reasonable now. I feel like I should probably give playing him another shot, and hey, with less reason to repeat certain moves, maybe we'll see some players get creative and really show off just how much sauce Aang already has. Korra! Korra, though, is very stylish. Ooh, I love her. Ooh, she's the best. She's got that amazing fire boost she can fly around with. She's got that whip that can bring people to her. She's got different up specials based on if she's in the air or on the ground, both with fun hitboxes. She can freeze part of the ground and play with ice physics, and she's got this air upcharge where she uses her earthbending to kick up a rock from the stage, and then she can press the button again to kick down, which can hit the rock and affect where the rock goes, or just spike your opponent. They did recently patch her rock to be more limited in where it can fly, and maybe it's too early, maybe I need to give it more of a chance and get used to it, but no thanks, put it back, please. Even the people I've chatted with that complained about Korra being too strong, they mainly just wanted her charge neutral air toned down a bit. I never heard of anyone complaining about this rock. And hey, I don't know everyone, I don't hear everything, but man, they took her fire burst too? I thought this move was so perfect last patch, so cool to fly across the stage, and so Korra. It was already nerfed to have more startup, which is fair, but now it really is just a little boost. I thought this move had enough weaknesses, so I'm really resistant to this change, but if they really want to nerf it, then why not treat it like Ren and Stimpy Weenie Car, where she recovers once like this, gets hit, and doesn't get the move back. That way she can still be creative, not losing any utility, still flying around all over the place being cool, but I guess she wouldn't recover over and over in the same way, which I guess was annoying and is why this was changed, maybe? I know she's strong and all, but limiting her creativity makes me nervous. While it was daunting to fight her when first trying the game, I've gotten used to how to punish her, one really notable weakness being how she doesn't snap to ledge. When Korra has to up special to the ledge, the player better space it right, cause Korra's gonna keep trying to get a hit and put herself in a vulnerable situation, which is very much like her. I guess I still don't know what to do about her light neutral air though, besides just, I don't know, backing off. It's really good. And now Korra actually got a new strength in the recent patch too. Her light down air already summons some rocks close to the ground, but now this goes further, which is so good that it's now optimal for Korra to kind of fish for this. This has definitely started some cool combos, but does not feel healthy, and I'm hearing people that like Korra and don't love her as much both really kind of want this reverted back to how it was. So I'm open to changes, and I trust the team to keep Korra fun and creative, especially when she's still so capable of zooming around and doing super cool stuff. But I'm just nervous her creativity may be hurt with future attempts to tackle her strength. I guess I feel a bit protective, cause Korra is so cool, and I don't want to see what I already felt was such a great job toned down into an unnecessarily held back version. I love her silly wind, I love her aggressive dive, and I love her, such a cool character. I watched her show with some friends and don't remember much that personally interested me besides Korra herself. I love that she's tough, looking to fight and show off a bit, so being as aggressive and stylish as she is in this game is so perfect. I love Korra's design of being able to poke from afar or even drag people toward her, having all these creative skills to play with while also pretty much always aggressively going in. She can suddenly boost to the side, boost up high, follow up in surprising and hard-hitting ways. She's tough, she's cool, she's scary, she's creative, Korra's fantastic, and she's a huge favorite. Phenomenal stuff. Another one of the coolest platform fighter characters I've ever seen. Azula! Azula also likes to pressure opponents, but she feels a little less creative. She's quick and got simple and effective juggles while also using her slow fireballs and lightning to control parts of the stage. She looked pretty basic in her reveal and showcase, and in practice, yeah, she can definitely be effective, but she feels a little bit one note. She of course has cool potential, like angling her side special down for a fun bonus spike, or slime canceling the hitbox on her up special for follow-ups. But yeah, she usually keeps it pretty simple. I think that's partly because Azula can't really afford to play around and make mistakes often, which is admirably true to her source material. She's a light fast faller with a relatively linear recovery, so while she punishes people hard, she also gets punished pretty hard. So, Azula's pretty neat. I just personally prefer characters that mix it up a bit more. Raphael! So I really liked getting to the edge of the stage and trying to back throw opponents, and if I got that far, then I would really like for them to jump into my EX corkscrew. Yeah, EX corkscrew, woohoo! Such a dumb technique. Like, if my opponent has never seen this before, like, of course, and then they see it once and they're like, okay. Because this does not work if you don't get the grab and you don't have the opponent jump into it. It's just a dumb, stupid little technique, but I think it's really funny and it's fun to get away with. Anyway, other than all that, Raph is a fast dude with some fun hitboxes to throw around. Sometimes I feel like playing him, and I really like that you have two different down tilt knockback angles based on if you tap or hold the button. I also like his big recovery, flying across the screen with almost all his special moves. I never really use his shurikens really, which I guess is just part of how I still don't mesh with Raph entirely. I've seen other players mesh really well though, Raph really clicking with them and them doing such a good job going with the flow and actually putting all his moves together. I'm always dropping combos and being clunky with this guy, but I like playing him, I like fighting Raph, and watching him has been nice too. Yeah, he ain't bad. Not the wackiest or my favorite, but nah, he's a solid character. Donatello! Donatello seems like a nice guy with some cute animations, but then he also has this rapid jab I hate, and this dumb grenade that sends me flying away even when he just drops it on the ground. But also, he has this exploitable recovery that is fun to punish. When I see an opponent select him, I get a mix of ugh, and well, maybe my clip will work even easier here. His side special is really cool, and I don't see many players bother trying it that much. I guess because all I have to do as an opponent is tap it once to make it go away. Plus, many Donatello players probably already feel so in danger when they have to recover, they might feel like they can't afford to waste time with this move that has such simple counterplay. I mean, yeah, sometimes I'll even purposefully not tap the smoke so I can punish the opponent as soon as they teleport. I don't really see a lot of Donatellos in general anymore though. He was so popular at launch, I think because his big staff helped newer players feel safer attacking, and ugh, the rapid jab. People just hold it and I hate waiting there, I hate it. But yeah, even I've gotten around the things I don't like and beaten Donatellos, and people generally consider him to be a weaker character. When I play him every once in a while, I really do like messing with the teleport and trying to slime cancel with the dive kick. I never really play with the grenade though. It feels like everyone, including brand new players, picked up on it way better than I ever did. Anyway, Donatello's fine, I guess. April O'Neil. April isn't the most interesting character to me personally either. She's fine. She's got solid attacks, especially her aerials. She can set up and kick around her big camera, and she has a neat up special she can cancel and reactivate as long as she still has enough fuel. She does some nice combos, and I guess she's got this ratings meter. She doesn't need to fill this, it's not like essential to her game plan. It's really just a cute little bonus that lets her neutral special hit really hard. But I do wish that neutral special with all its oomph would have a more devastating looking animation. And I guess that's all I got to say about April. I do like edgeguarding people with her enhanced side special camera, that's neat. Danny Phantom. I do like Danny here much more than I did in the first game, but sorry if I'm being annoying, I still want more out of him. His jab combo is amazing, to a bit of an annoying degree sometimes, but I do honestly want it posed like his jab combo from the Ultimate Enemy GBA game. They make great use of his flight and intangibility here, but I still want to see him phase right through the ground. Sorry. Danny is a strong character with great mobility and fast, hard-hitting moves. He's plenty effective, and I'm glad to have seen him do some cool things, but I'm still stuck on wanting to see this character pushed even further in creativity. His expressions and animations are lovely, they nailed it. He's legit never looked better, and his laugh taunt is so adorable and charming. I just keep thinking like, oh, what if his freeze eyes could freeze a part of the stage? They already have ice physics with Korra. Oh, what if when you tap neutral special, you get the little plasma projectile he does now, but if you hold it, you get the full green ray that he does all the time in the show. And I can hear how all that sounds really strong for a character that's already one of the best in the game, but it doesn't have to be. To get the green ray, you might have to hold a good while, and if he recovers through the stage, he would have a bunch of end lag or something. This portal down special thing is a cute weird thing to play with. It doesn't feel like it does much, but it is really cute. Great move making the ghostly whale his air up charge now, letting him float as he charges it. And the grab and throw animations are really cool. And he has amazing ults, and he actually does some really cool clips too. I think Danny is really great, and the team has done another wonderful job, but I just can't help but think of a couple of other things that might help realize more of Danny's potential. Ember! Ember's pretty cool and fun. Still such a surprising and neat choice they went with this rockstar anti-hero ghost. She mostly does rockstar stuff, playing and swinging her guitar, but the way she hovers in the air for some of her moves makes her feel a bit ghostly. She's got fun combos and neat stuff to land too, like her cheer side or down specials or her super satisfying light forward air with all its oomph. I used to find her charge up air more annoying, but they fairly nerfed its range to make it way more okay. I think when she was first announced, I started expecting more of a mix of rockstar and ghost things. Like, of course she sends that fist projectile when she plays her guitar, but maybe she could also phase into the ground and move as a shadow for some attack. But nah, she really mainly sticks to the rockstar stuff, and that's okay. She's got her fire hair and flies a little in her ledge attack. I guess I would ideally like some more ghost stuff. I keep coming back to this point, so yeah, honestly, I guess I do want some more ghost stuff. But still, Ember is a pretty fun character. Gertie! The Breach. Grandma Gertie is some dumb fun. She's great to run around with, get some beefy hits, pull out some stupid items, just go with the flow. I'm not super familiar with her source material. I missed out on watching Hey Arnold, but she makes a great first impression here. This thrill-seeking grandma's a role model. I hope I'm this cool at her age. I cannot believe that her halberd swing actually outranged someone trying to super me. The Breach. Her Spidey swing is cool, her karate kick across the stage is too. I love the noise her megaphone makes. What a great sound effect. I love trying to pull off some goofy stuff with her items, and while sometimes it's a lot of cabbages, or sometimes it's something I don't manage to combo off of well, sometimes some pretty cool stuff can actually happen. She's solid, I don't have much to say. I guess sometimes I still throw out her aerial grappling hook towards my opponent like it's gonna do anything. It would be cool if it had a little hitbox like Krabs' fishing rod, or if it grappled people to Gertie, or pulled her up to reach them. It'd be cool if it did something, but yeah, Gertie's cool, she's solid, she is some solid, silly fun, good character. The Breach. Gerald! Gerald is phenomenal. He has so many creative tools to play with. I love his up special so much, rising up and slamming down. Then he's got this whole menu of stuff to throw, including his slime-enhanced radio that flies at a fun arc. Oh, and he's got the skateboard. You can do so many tricks with this thing and get all over the place. So fun to just ride this around and try to work it into conversions. Oh, and he's got the bike too. Okay, charging this up and zooming far across the stage doesn't happen too often in real matches, but if you can make it work, you can also slime cancel it to carry the bike momentum. This can then lead into all sorts of other fun stuff, including showing off Gerald's adorable charisma and style. Again, I'm not a Hey Arnold expert, so this is the first impression I'm getting, and Gerald is adorable! His crouch, his slow walk, he's quickly become one of my favorite characters in platform fighters. Competitively, Gerald is solidly good. Great combos, good kill power after a couple early patches since at launch all his charge attacks had their issues, and he's got clear weaknesses too. He can't shield or dodge out of his skateboard, so while it's a strong and fun option, there is risk, and for as amazing as his up special is, it can be edge-guarded pretty well. You can get a lot of mileage out of Gerald's iconic light neutral air as both a combo tool and kill move, and altogether, I think Gerald hovers somewhere in a top 10 blur. I don't think he has anything particularly ridiculous, but he has all he needs to be a creative, fair, cool, and very fun character. Sure, I've fought some Geralds that just ran away and tried to throw things the whole time, but that strategy isn't unbeatable, and lots of characters can be played that way. Gerald is encouraged well to pull off cool combos and sick snipes. I think he's another gold star character, one of the most fun platform fighter characters I've gotten to play. Nigel Thornberry. At first, I didn't know what to do with this Nigel. In the first game, all I wanted to do was juggle a bit and then start doing a bunch of up specials that would cancel into each other, and then maybe end with a snap or some other surprise ending. I never really cared much about using snap in the first game, and I still don't really in this game either. I mean, it's great, I like the effects on it, but for whatever reason, I often forget I even have it. But now, I do have a lot of fun with this Falcon Dive. That's a silly little move. And it is fun trying to land the poison effect on Nigel's Scorpion Sting and Viper Punch. Ooh, and his back air packs a lot of oomph too, and it's also honestly fun to just use all his jumps and keep naring people as they try to recover. I guess I have found some new ways to be silly with this strange, strange man. Now, even in a game with no bad characters, someone has to technically be the weakest. Who knows what might change? Maybe an amazing Nigel will surprise us and tear through tournaments as we see Rocksteady or Raphael struggle more, but as of now, most people point to Nigel as the quote-unquote worst character in the game. And chatting with beta testers, it's clear the team behind the scenes worries that nearly any change may make Nigel very annoying. He's already flying around with 5 jumps and slime canceling into his devastating snaps. And hey, I don't want Nigel to be very annoying either, but I think he could at least have his old slime-enhanced aerial neutral special back where he'd zip across the screen. I thought it was pretty fun and not annoying. If anything though, I'd still ask for his up special to revert exactly back to how it was in the first game. I've been saying this since we saw his spotlight, I keep bringing it up, I guess it's all I really care about, and I still feel strongly that this was a goofy, fair enough, fun, lovable move that straight up made the character for me. And I'd run into other people online going for this too, and it was cool to see in tournaments people like clutching survival by landing this hit and jumping back to the stage when nothing else would have worked. It was fun, it was cool, it's kind of all I care about. It's all I care about with Nigel. Like these worries around his jumps and his snap, if they're really that hard to work around where they're holding him back, limiting his creativity, like, you could get rid of them. He doesn't need to snap, he doesn't need to fly. It's not like those are from the show anyway. It's probably much more worth discussing Nigel with actual Nigel players that feel like he's so close to perfect, maybe just needs a couple more changes, they love playing around the snap, or people that really like the character from the source material, the actual show, cause, well yeah, it's all about that old up special for me. But hey, if Nigel returns in a future game, then I guess now I'll also hope that he keeps his Falcon Dive too. What a silly little character. Zim! Zim is another wild, phenomenal character. Controlling Zim and Gur literally at the same time leads to such creative stuff you won't see anywhere else, on top of them doing a good job giving Zim weird, alien-feeling moves. Like his light up air hitting twice and setting opponents down on its second hit, or his down charge gnome, which feels like it would be other characters' down specials. And of course, that gigantic upcharge laser. That thing is super fun. What a silly, unique, and also legit cool option. So while Zim may take some getting used to for how different he is by no means any less fun. He's really fun. At one point, I was so lost when I would go random and get Zim, I didn't know what to do, but now even I'm re-grabbing and pulling off silly things with Gur. Now, amazing Zim players have always beat the hell out of me at least, but sometimes I'd push them off stage a bit and then they could just end up dead. Until recently, Zim had a really lacking recovery. Most Zim players saved slime just to try to save themselves from their own recoveries. It was made to be weak, but maybe after some time we all realized it was a bit too weak. Similarly, Gur has always been capable of so many amazing things, but had a 9 health, meaning after 9 damage he'd explode, meaning he could only take a hit or 2. Even when slime enhancing Gur to give him more HP, he'd then have 13, which, you know, for a whole bar of slime, 4 HP is just not a huge boost. Now recently, with the Rocksteady patch, Zim's recovery was patched perfectly. He can float a bit without Gur now, which has really helped and really added to Zim's durability and creativity. And Gur was adjusted to survive better too, but too much. Now Gur is often running around with 40 health, 4040, which is ridiculous. Nice to give him a boost, but he was already shooting across the stage when Zim was getting grabbed, which was very helpful, and now you go hit Gur, who will probably survive and was already kinda hard to hit, and now Zim is gonna come in with a hit. Ooh, it's hard. Oh, and also Gur's just straight up immune to projectiles, which could maybe be warranted when he had 9 HP, but It's neat that it's the same game plan. Zim is still doing the same great stuff with his unconventional combos and big damage output with lots of kill options. It's just so much more effective now that Zim can recover, and Gur just straight up lives too long. Gur's health should go down, and also Zim's light up air should just go back to how it was, and then I think Zim might be a perfectly healthy character. We're almost there, so close. But either way, Zim is super fun, super cool, and I think he's another phenomenal design. Jenny! Jenny is weirdly small. The devs tried to get her to be the right size, but Nickelodeon was weirdly stubborn about this, and I still don't have the slightest clue why. It's weird, and I, like plenty of other people, and the devs themselves I'm sure, wish Nickelodeon wasn't weirdly stubborn about getting Jenny's size wrong. Outside of this game, Jenny is one of my favorite characters and designs in anything ever. She was a childhood role model, and I really love one of her quotes from Nicktoons' Attack of the Toy Bots.
There's a time for compassion and understanding, and this isn't it!
It was probably just a cute throwaway line they threw in. There's plenty of generic little lines in that game, but I think that line helped me learn to, like, stick up for myself as a kid or something. So, I love Jenny. She's super sweet and cool. In this game, though, she's okay. I don't want to be really negative, and I don't think that's where my feelings are honestly anyway. I don't hate what's going on here, but I don't love it either. Her sunglasses taunt is adorable, it's cool she can fly around, her umbrella is fun to play with, and playing as Jenny and her missile together when that happens can lead to fun conversions. But Jenny's missiles in Nick Brawl 1 didn't curve quite as accurately as they do in this game, and it just seems like some of the Jennys I fought really like staying put and shooting missile after missile rather than going in with Jenny and comboing with the missile. Maybe this is cause projectiles feel harder or less rewarding to reflect, or maybe this is cause you can't grab projectiles anymore, or maybe people feel like going in with Jenny is risky, or since the missile is so reliable you don't have to. It could be all sorts of things, or a combination of stuff. Along with that though, she also has this hammer move that shoots another projectile, so it hasn't been uncommon for me to run into a Jenny that likes to shoot missile hammer, which I don't love. Jenny also still has this mighty mallet tantrum, which is cute, but I didn't really like in the first game either. I didn't even like going for it unless it would lead to a combo or stage spike or something, because it just leads to such flat feeling endings. And I do find it a bit annoying when opponents try to edgeguard me by just holding this on ledge. Even when I get around this, I think of how if Jenny didn't have this move, maybe players would feel more encouraged to try to spike me or do something more interesting. And even if this edgeguard does work, it's just like, yep, not super stylish, but yeah, the move was held and it caught the miss-based move that went a bit over the ledge. Mission accomplished, yeah, great. I think my least favorite change is that Jenny's down special laser eyes don't have a hitbox anymore, making them feel, like, useless. I know that they destroy projectiles, but I don't care. What projectile am I supposed to be so worried about destroying? Nothing's as good as Jenny's fully controllable missile. Jimmy's got a nice missile that he can pre-program, but even that, yeah, you can just jump around, shield it, roll past it, or destroy it with your missile or your hammer projectile. You don't need a whole special just for destroying. Oh, jeez. Dude, even SpongeBob's bubble is gonna trade with Azula's fireball. You do not need an entire special move dedicated to, yeah, I guess the main function is destroying projectiles now. It also does 1 or 2% damage, so wow, cool. This move sucks. It's gotta be the worst special move in the game, if not just the worst move in the game. I really think it could be changed to be more exciting. I had so much fun in the first game when these lasers actually hit people. I liked popping people off the ground or stage spiking them off walls. I thought that was really unique and cool. In some future patch, I think I'd love to see this move just straight up revert back to how it was in the first game, without its midair stall. She can just fall like she does now. She doesn't need the stall. I know giving Jenny a third functional projectile now can be a scary thought, but I think it could be okay. Counterplay in the first game was simple enough. It was the explosions of the lasers hitting the ground and walls that dealt knockback, not the lasers themselves, so simply being in the air was enough most of the time. And then this game's got the dodges, and the slime cancels, and the burst, like plenty of defensive options. I'm not a game designer, but I think people would be fine. Though I do wish Jenny just had a different side special anyway. It always felt right to me that she'd have some kind of flying punch command grab, pretty much exactly like Superman in Multiverses. I think this feels right to me partly because this cool stock art stuck with me depicting Jenny flying and punching, but I feel like she does that a lot in the show too. Doesn't she quickly zip around and deck people? I guess that's more like Superman's grounded side special, but yeah, she's got flying and punching and stuff. Jenny always had a good mix of rushing in and blasting from afar, and while she thankfully does have a nice mix of those in the game currently, personally, neither feel quite right to me. Maybe part of why I feel this way is for all the stuff she blasts, we never see her laser blaster, which I feel like she pulled out all the time in the show. Jenny also, in general, seems to have trouble keeping up with other characters. She has some nice chain grabs and pressure with her missiles, but when it's time to finish a stock, she has some pretty slow, limited options. She's got this chest burst, which is as strong as it is slow, and then she's got these light attack multi-hits that are good for combos, but aren't really gonna kill anything. Her special moves, her laser doesn't do anything. Typically then, I see Jenny players kind of rely on her back air, which is a nice, snappy, strong move with a good hitbox. It's her best option in many situations. Sometimes it feels like it's her only good option, and then sometimes she does this move a lot, and then people are like, wow, she sure does this move a lot. And then it's like, yeah, what else are you supposed to do? Despite all my hangups like how linear or limited I feel Jenny is, I still see Jenny players pull off some cool stylish stuff sometimes. I fought Jennies that have popped me up and then flew up there, slime canceled, and finished me off, or I've seen people like line up the missile correctly and get a spike after. There's some cool stuff here, but I wish there was more. I wish Jenny felt saucier, I wish Jenny felt more creative and versatile, because more often than not, I do feel like I've experienced Jenny typically do some chain grabs, do some multi-hits, shoot a lot of missiles, and then eventually get a back air or even up throw kill. But I do want to reiterate that this is all just personal preference. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with how she is right now. I mean, Nickelodeon being stubborn about the height thing, I do think that's a bit of a mistake, but I think she's still really popular online. I run into her a decent amount, and I hope she's clicking with y'all. In the most recent patch, Jenny did actually get a couple new options. Her slime-enhanced side special is now a meaty hammer swing, no projectile, just oomph! And her slime-enhanced down special now shoots a big blast. Really nice that she has some cool new potential. Still hoping for a bit more though, still thinking about that default down special. Maybe there's some cool changes we would all enjoy, but personally, I had a good amount of fun with Jenny in the first game. She was my most wanted DLC character. It's so good to see her again. I think she looks so cool. I think I got some pretty fun clips. This is a dream come true I will forever be grateful for. And still, I feel like I never clicked with her. I felt too cheap using her down strong, so I just didn't. I didn't like her light down air, and I always felt like something was missing. Maybe because I was literally avoiding using some of her moveset. And now, here in Nick Brawl 2, I feel like this interpretation of the character is further away from my personal preferences, and I just don't really play her much at all anymore. I want to say at least her personality shines, and sometimes it does. I like her slow walk, that cute sunglasses taunt, but A lot of her lines leave me confused. Sometimes she just says, "big move," which feels out of character to me. Maybe she said this and I missed it, but it feels weirdly childish for her. And then one of the things she says when she wins is just, "rar, rar."
Rawr, rawr, rawr! Rawr, rawr, rawr!
Is that even from an episode I missed? It must be, but everyone I've asked is just as confused as me. Why does she just start roaring like a 2-year-old? And then leaves it at that. Maybe if she was just playing around with Reptar, I'd get it, but no, she beats up Spongebob, and he's like, "oh, good game, you got me," and she's like, "rar, rar," and he's like, "oh, are you actually 5? I don't know, it's not even a big deal. I'm not angry, I'm just honestly confused. Why is she small? Why does she talk like this? Oh well. I'm really curious about any changes Jenny might see in future patches. I know changing entire special moves or her size isn't feasible at this point, but I'm sure there's some interesting things they could do to switch her up a bit. Reptar! It's cool we have this fire-breathing T-Rex on the roster. That's just cool. In the first game, I'm pretty sure Sandy, Ablina, and Reptar were my favorites. Like, my favorite characters and platform fighters' favorites. Here in Nick Brawl 2, Reptar got some really fun stuff, for sure, but he felt abhorrently strong at launch. It's not just that he was a big boy with big damage, it felt like he won neutral and got rewarded more than almost anyone else. I think he had some pretty generous hitboxes. He could recover super well, and even when shielding his moves, he'd push you too far away to get a counterattack. It felt honestly pretty bad trying to fight him. I felt bad trying to learn the game and running into this guy. The spotlight warned of the shield pushback and recommended slime shielding, which is great. That's a cool, thoughtful, and unique dynamic, but maybe some other people picked it up faster than others. I know I, at launch, was still trying to remember to use slime at all. I don't know if Reptar was the best character in the game or anything at the time like that. Him and Azula were pretty strong at launch, but they were not impossible to beat. But it felt like Reptar had every advantage. I'd go to ranked, see my opponent was picking Reptar, and just, nah, never mind. I would just back out. I would rather not. I did not want to fight him. He was really fun to play and to try to get cool clips with, but I just personally felt too guilty, especially against new players. Dude, his down special fire carpet, that in the first game has super armor during the charge, but as he spits the fire, you hit him and it goes away. I think that felt fair, especially in a game with air grabbing, but here, you'd hit him and he'd still get his big damage, and maybe get a combo after because it would sort of juggle sometimes, which isn't necessarily abhorrent on its own. But the fact that he could hold it as long as he wanted, had like no end lag for it, could cancel it whenever he felt like, so no commitment necessary, and that it even hit behind him when it really didn't look like it should, that was all a bit much. Anyway, I'm complaining a lot, I'm finally getting it all off my chest, but this has all been addressed already for months now. Reptar has been patched to have a more vulnerable recovery, his down special has big end lag now, and he's still really fun. You can still build momentum by running, which is super cool and unique. He still does big damage, pressures people with fireballs, and his side special chomp, I love this command grab. I'm not sure if his down special flame carpet was adjusted in exactly the best, most fun way, but many of the Reptar changes feel healthy. Now when I see Reptar, I look forward to fighting him, and I don't feel guilty playing him anymore either, which is great, because he's so fun. He's a really cool, fun character. I do still miss the fire pillar he'd make when you held neutral special long enough in the first game. It was so fun, one of my favorite combo enders, and I don't see why we can't have it here in Nick Brawl 2. Fireball for button tap, and fire pillar for button held, why not? Well, maybe at launch it would have been egregious on top of everything else he had going for him, but maybe it'd be fine to have again now. We have reached a point where I worry if Reptar got nerfed a little bit too much, and now I'm kind of hoping he's thrown some sort of a bone. But seriously, for all my complaining up top, I'm really impressed with the team balancing how they do. It really builds my trust when I'm back to loving this dinosaur so much after all my dread. He's been adjusted but retains so much fun, and has become much more fun to play, watch, and fight. He's back to being one of my favorite characters in the game. Ren and Stimpy. First of all, Ren and Stimpy were fun in the first game, but look a lot better and exude much more charm here. I love how these two use each other as weapons. I love how the friendly Stimpy has some hitboxes that invite opponents closer while the grumpy Ren pushes people away further. I love their silly bouncy log and goofy little weenie car. I'm honestly really endeared by these cute, unique, silly, fun, creative little guys. Now, with all that established up top, I hope it doesn't sound too negative when I say that Ren and Stimpy are very easy. And what I mean is, I want to unlock everything in the game, and there just so happens to be a badge that you get for ranking up high enough. Usually when playing fighting games, I just want to get clips and make montage videos. I'm not even that good at it, but at least trying gives me a fulfillment in my soul. But this badge, I felt if I wanted to get it, I had to prioritize winning. It was still nice to try to get clips on the way, but the main goal was to win, and I wanted to make my life as easy as possible. I wanted to get this over with pretty quick and painlessly to get back to just worrying about clips. And of all the characters to do this with, I chose Ren and Stimpy. Now, I'm not sure Ren and Stimpy were ever the best in the game, and maybe some other characters now might have an easier time, but at the time, I went with Ren and Stimpy because they were simply, solidly good, and real easy. You've got the notorious, iconic, beefy back air rivaling Jenny's. You've got plenty of moves designed to hit on both sides, so I tried to hit this move and oops, I missed. No, I didn't. I hit anyway. Just forgivingly granting successful hits where other characters simply wouldn't get them. One of these moves, by the way, being their light neutral air, which, wow, combos into itself real well a lot of the time and does 11% each hit. Their charge neutral air also comboed into itself well and was not too hard to set up. I could just up throw charge nair, charge nair, charge nair. Sometimes I think I would take people's stocks at like 30. Their logs and weenie cars were great to throw on stage 2 for some nice pressure, and they have that stall and fall spike that actually sends people down, not just on the first few frames like some other similar moves in the game. Plus, they're one of the heavier characters while also having a unique floatiness to them that helps them survive longer and even pop out of combos that others can't. On top of all that, all their throws were great, killing at decent percents or setting up for charge or light fairplane rides. I got the badge on the PC version in like a week or something. I did not win every game, but I think I beat some people I did not deserve to beat, and overall Ren and Stimpy were a great choice for this particular goal. Over time, Ren and Stimpy got a few adjustments, like not being able to get this silly, dumb, easy back throw into back throw into back throw chain grab, or having their back air have a little bit less oomph. A big one was only letting them get one weenie car per airtime, making their recovery much more fairly vulnerable. Nowadays, Ren and Stimpy seem solidly good. If anything, maybe their light neutral air should do 9 or 8 damage instead of 11, and actually their down charge is still kinda bullshit. I think it lingers a bit longer than it feels like it should. Something about the animation looks like the hitbox should be gone a bit earlier, which feels a little extra dumb when this move has big reward for minimal risk. That's really it though. I know people find enhanced weenie car annoying as a recovery tool, but it's 1 per airtime. You'll probably get more solid chances to toss them off stage when they may not have the slime to do it again. I think it's fine. And it's really creative, fun, and funny. The fact that you can rise with it? Come on, this move is amazing. I love trying to combo people by jiggling it left and right really quick. Yeah, I got no attachment to the source material. These guys can actually be pretty yucky sometimes, but they're mostly really charming and cute in this game. Great design for some dopey dorks. Ren and Stimpy are capable of some legit cool, cute, funny, silly, and creative things. I think this character remains solidly strong and fun and easy to play after some fair adjustments, and I'm really curious to see how they might change in the future since I don't think they really need any changes right now. Mr. Krabs! I will always remember this as Mr. Krabs' first playable appearance in a crossover game, and also, how good he looks! He animates so well, and this moveset! I had some work on a fan moveset of my own, but I'm so slow, dude. Still, it's neat to see what happened to line up. In my big discussion talking about all sorts of potential character concepts, I mentioned that of course Mr. Krabs could have some money mechanic with enhancing attacks, cause we all did. We were all talking about that. It just made too much sense. It's great to see our imaginations come to life. So great to actually see this in action. I think it's so well thought out too that he doesn't just punch you and build a meter. The money rolls around on stage, so you'll see Krabs players literally give up advantageous edgeguard opportunities or easy neutral wins to go get money instead because he cares about money most. That's perfect! And while this enhanced side special could maybe use some adjustments since people can just start spamming it because of how amazing it is, I do think it is in fact funny that this is cheap. And people keep fishing for this move because they feel greedy. This is just perfect. I love this. There's also a bit of clear inspiration from another greedy, treasure-loving character, Wario. And weirdly enough, while I find this playstyle perfect for Mr. Krabs, being encouraged to rush in because you only get money by engaging with action, Man, I also think this is perfect for Wario. Maybe I should save talking on that more for a Smash-centric video, but that was a big feeling I had when trying Mr. Krabs for the first time. I felt like it was so cute and great, making sense for him, but also I was like, yeah, wow, this is what Wario should be. Now, until recently, I heard some good points about how, like, well, why would anyone in tournament use the dime when the side special spin is also available at money level 3 and is basically as good and doesn't get rid of your money? Super fair point, and even though opponents could roll away or get counterattacks in the middle of Krabs' side special, it really just did encourage Krabs players to do side special too much. Thankfully, the devs pay attention, and Krabs' side special has been fairly adjusted to stop continuing when hitting someone's shield. Great change! On top of already speeding up the gold bar and money bag that felt very slow at launch, some great work and changes have helped Krabs feel really solid and healthy now. Now when I think of any further changes, I just think that his up and down grounded charges feel underwhelming, which isn't a huge deal. Maybe they could be adjusted, or even switched out for some other moves someday. I guess I can take this opportunity to pitch just a couple of moves from my obsolete moveset concept. So, since Krabs loves money even more than fighting, or anything else, maybe he would use the chance he has taking center stage in Nick Brawl 2 to advertise his business with some big banner. So maybe, for a new grounded up charge, he could unroll some banner promoting the Krusty Krab. He could also, as I mentioned in that initial potential future content discussion, have his eyes do that dollar symbol thing he'd do sometimes, and this move could also enhance into those big gold bars at max money level. For other potential downcharge moves Krabs could do, this wrecking ball he uses from the episode Grandpappy the Pirate looks cool. Or for a more unconventional move, but one that fits how he cares more about money than necessarily winning, I think it could be fun if Krabs holds out a Krabby Patty offering to sell it. I was imagining this could be a risk where the Krabs player legitimately tries to strike a deal with an opponent. If the opponent accepts this deal by, I think, pressing the grab button in front of the Krabby Patty, they would then buy the Krabby Patty and get healed by like 100%, but Krabs would instantly make enough money to jump up to his next money level. The opponent could just deny the deal and hit Krabs instead, which is a risk Krabs players can play with as much as they want. I initially imagined this as a down special, but I think it could even work better as a down charge. Krabs could hold out the patty as long as the player wants, only putting it away when inputting something else and waiting through a little end lag animation. This hypothetical move would be risky and probably not used a lot, but his current one isn't used a lot either, and this could lead to some funny, unique moments. Like, hey, I'm already at 150, what's one more money level gonna do now? Come on, take it, take the patty, give me the money that can actually lead to a clutch comeback. Or a player could fully use this as a bait, encouraging his owner like Plankton to get closer when you don't have any real intention of selling this patty, slime canceling this move into some attack instead. I'm also imagining some hype grand finals, some last hit scenario, and a player goes for this deal and the opponent really takes their time turning to the crowd like, what do you guys think? And online chats in the crowd are just screaming like, do it, yeah, you got that, no, don't, it's a trick, he's gonna dime you. Maybe I'm imagining too much. While that's fun to imagine, Krabs as he is now is really great, and I really treasure the guy. I'm so glad he's here. As good as he is, playable in a Nickelodeon crossover platform fighter, as long as you spend a little extra cash. So cute that he's the first DLC fighter. That's so perfect. Cheap, greedy, he even costs a little extra. Even if that's completely unintentional, what an amazing bonus coincidence. Zuko! Zuko is super fun! Nice to see this fan-favorite character given so much love with a great creative mix of firebending and sword fighting. He's mostly firebending, but then you can also bring these swords out and use some fun little sword moves. Oh my gosh, this light forward air. But then also, you can throw Zuko's swords around. You can edge guard with them, block the sky with a hitbox, or toss them across stages to make openings. This is amazing. How have I never seen a sword fighter do this before? And opponents can pick up Zuko's swords, and with much less skill than him, use them. This is seriously so fun, unique, creative, cool, such a great idea. Other than all this, Zuko also feels so great to combo with. He's got really nice stuff that flows into each other well. He also has great costumes, some nice oomph with his up special enhanced spike or dragon punches. I like Zuko a lot. It can get pretty tough when Zuko needs to recover. His recovery was designed to be a weakness, and it definitely is. He could see some adjustments, but overall, I think Zuko is fantastic. Another phenomenal job from the team. Rocksteady! Dude, we have a funny pattern forming in this series. In the waiting period of both games, I hear a lot of people want all 4 turtles, but instead you get 2 of them, April O'Neil and a villain. And a lot of people don't mind. I don't mind. I know the developers have said they want to mix it up, and I've definitely seen some Rocksteady fans be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know to hope for this. He looks amazing. I'm very happy for them. This is very sweet. I do still feel a bit bad for people that really want all 4 turtles, but I'm sure the developers do too. I'm sure they would put in Bebop and Casey Jones and 20 Teenage Turtle characters if they could, but you can't do everything. Fun fact, with 3 characters not returning and 3 new ones added, Rocksteady is the 7th Nickelodeon All-Star from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, which is the most of any series, barely ahead of Spongebob and Avatar, which each have 6 total All-Stars in the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl series so far. What am I going on about? Sorry, I just love this kind of data. I think it's cool that in just 2 games we got all these characters brought to life and allowed to shine like this. In total, we have 40 Nickelodeon All-Stars in the series so far, and Rocksteady, against whatever odds we thought there were, is one of them. When Rocksteady was first announced, I thought he was a really questionable choice, especially since people were still freshly sad to see Leonardo and Michelangelo sitting out this time, but I guess I gotta respect the vision, cause he is so fun. As someone who was utterly unfamiliar with this character, this is a pretty great first impression. I get it, he's a kinda dopey, brute-type henchman guy, especially with the way he just carelessly tosses these bombs around. He has great ways to snipe the opponent, he has fun re-grab combos, his rocket jump is ridiculous, his up tilt setting up a teensy bit of a bullet hell as if you're actually a mini-boss or something. And his down charge, especially when you drift off stage with it, is hype. Oh my gosh, and the barrel? The way you can shoot the barrel to blast people closer to you, ooh, that's good. Lots of fun, unique tools to play with. He's easily already one of my favorite characters. And I think that's true for a lot of people. Everyone seems to be having a lot of fun with Rocksteady. These kinds of slower but heavier hitting characters tend to be pretty popular, like Donkey Kong or Ganondorf in Smash, or Cruiser Tetron in Slap City. I love playing them, but I really like fighting them too, cause they get comboed harder. Now I'm already thinking way ahead and hoping that this guy sticks around in a hypothetical Nick Brawl 3. That's a discussion for another time though. I'm still presently hoping that Nick Brawl 2 gets more DLC. I guess I just thought it was sort of funny that I went from, oh, why are they putting this guy in, to I think I kinda hope he sticks around? Fun stuff. I don't even have any complaints like wishing some move was more creative or something. Just another legit phenomenal character. And that, I believe, is finally that. That's the video. That took a while. That was hard. Looking this over, yeah, the transition from Squidward to Plankton's kinda jarring. And the Jenny Down special part where it kind of suddenly becomes a better side special, because I think if it wasn't a projectile, then they wouldn't feel as weird about letting Jenny Down special be a functional projectile. I think that could have been more clear. And the whole Smash comparison part felt clunky, but I think this turned out okay overall. I really love these characters so much, and I love this game. I love the first game so much too, but overall, I think I do like the second game more. Not that anyone has to pick one, you can just play both, but yeah, a lot of this was asking myself, how do I feel? If I miss airdashing so much, why don't I just play the first game more? I will always gush about Nick Brawl 1, but I don't miss the easy forward throw follow-ups, and I guess I don't really miss all the jab lock stuff either, since I kind of forgot about it. And I already mentioned the RPS system. The first game is fan-fucking-tastic, and the mechanics I love there are incredible, but sure, it wasn't perfect. Nick Brawl 2 ain't perfect either, what is, but every character looks great. The single player is one of the best in the genre. I like all these unique, creative, and faithful moveset designs, and the guitar riff in this victory theme always blows me away and gives me chills with how genuinely cool it is. And I love holding charge moves, and I love how supers are implemented, though a lot of them could look cooler, but whatever, I'm gonna blame the Nintendo Switch for that, at least partly. And I love playing with slime. And yet, maybe it's just human to keep wanting more, but even if they add something I want, it could be something someone else hates. Can you really make everyone happy? With the understanding that the team making this game is only human too, and they cannot literally do everything, I'm human too, and it's okay for me to feel that I love this game, but I wish I did love it a little bit more, with a few specific changes I've already talked about, mainly, so sorry to be redundant, especially to anyone that didn't use any timestamps, but I love airdashing. and it would be really cool to have some air grabbing too. Still, I think I found some sort of peace, and I'm pretty sure this is my favorite platform fighter of all time so far. I am so continually pleasantly surprised and impressed by this series. I wish the team the best, moveset designers, sound effect people, voice actors, everyone. I really hope everyone feels appreciated over this absolute triumph of a game. And I'm super looking forward to whatever's next. Excited for Iroh and the new stages. So hyped we'll get to fight at Spongebob's neighborhood. I've been dreaming of that since I was like 5. Truly phenomenal stuff, everyone. What do you all think? How do y'all feel? I have been looking forward to reading your comments forever. Do you resonate with me or have totally different takes about any mechanic or character? Would you like for me to talk about anything else? Please feel free to let me know. Oh, and hey, good games to y'all in the clips in the video. There's no replay system, so I hope no one feels like weird or anything about their name floating above themselves in any clip. Maybe I'm overthinking? I feel like my voice sounds weird in this part. I'm really staggering across the finish line, but I gotta finish this video. Oh, and I have some montages I'll finally share. I really love making clip montages. Even if I'm not the best player, it really makes me happy to put some nice hits to some nice music and share and look back at some fun memories. I even have a couple of multiverses ones. It just felt weird to share these all of a sudden in the middle of this weird long silent hiatus I ended up accidentally doing. I felt like I had to make this big chatty video first. Seems dumb, and hopefully I'll just get over that feeling if I ever feel it again, but yeah, I'll share a couple montages. They sure do mean a lot to me. I love making these, but you know, no pressure to watch them or anything. If you happen to take a peek, I hope you enjoy, and feel free to comment about, like, you know, oh, this is my favorite part, or I like this combo at this timestamp or whatever. But again, no pressure. And if any of this got some of y'all wanting to try the game, it's always a good time. The game goes on sale a fair amount, and it's on the Xbox Game Pass now. I didn't really know what that was until recently. It's like some kind of Xbox game Netflix, I think, and a bunch of new players popped up, which is cool. The single player alone is worth getting this game in my opinion, but playing with others is so fun, and if you want to, I see people playing free-for-alls or 1v1s in public lobbies, or starting up private games in public discords with easy matchmaking all the time. And there's tournaments every week. Huge Raw Mondays, Metro Mondays, Dutchman's Dungeon, Frosty Freezy Fridays, Streets of Chuck. Those are all weekly, but sometimes there's other special events like NASB Junior, where specifically unranked players, like completely new players, are invited to have fun in a tourney format. Those have all been super fun, and as I record this, they're teasing some sort of new announcement. I commentate a good chunk of this stuff, so if you happen to like me for some reason, then there's a good chance you'll hear me at some of these events. I'm continually impressed every week with the cool stuff the amazing players of this game are able to pull off. So even if you don't quite feel like playing for whatever reason, hey, maybe fighting games aren't your thing, but you do want to take a peek or a gander, then hey, go for it. I think you'll have a good time. Now that I guess I'm finally done with this, I can get to work on some other stuff I want to do, and hopefully actually play this game some more and get a few more clips. So, wishing y'all well, see y'all later, and thanks again a bunch for watching.